Okay. Hello and welcome to the re-recording of my stream on Wednesday for the first 12 chapters, I believe. 13 maybe? 12. Of Maximum Ride, The Angel Experiment by James Patterson. The first page starts off with a warning from Max. If you dare to read this story, you become part of the experiment. I know that sounds a little mysterious, but it's all I can say right now. Max. Okay. Now, on to the prologue. Congratulations! The fact that you're reading this means you've taken one giant step closer to surviving to your next birthday. Yes, you! Standing there leafing through these pages. Do not put this book down. I'm dead serious. Your life could depend on it. This is my story, the story of my family. But it could just as easily be your story too. We're all in this together. Trust me on that. I've never done anything like this, so I'm just going to jump in and you try to keep up. Okay. I'm Max. I'm 14. I live with my family, who are 5 kids, not related to me by blood. But still, totally my family. We're kind of amazing. Not to sound too full of myself, but we're nothing like you've ever seen. Basically, we're pretty cool, nice, smart, but not average in any way. The 6 of us, me, Fang, Iggy, Nudge, the Gas Man, and Angel, were made on purpose. By the sickest, most horrible scientists you could possibly imagine. They created us as an experiment. An experiment where we ended up only 98% human. Little 2% has had a big impact, let me tell you. We grew up in a science lab / prison called the school. In cages, like lab rats. It's pretty amazing we can think or speak at all. But we can, and so much more. There was one other school experiment that made it past infancy. Part human, part wolf. All predator. They're called erasers. They're smart, tough, and hard to control. They look human, but when they want to, they are capable of morphing into wolfmen, complete with fur, fangs, and claws. The school uses them as guards, police, and executioners. To them, we're 6 moving targets. Prey smart enough to be a fun challenge. Basically, they want to rip our throats out, and make sure the world never finds out about us. But I'm not laying down just yet. I'm telling you, aren't I? This story could be about you, or your children. If not today, then soon. So please take this seriously. I'm risking everything that matters by telling you. But you need to know. Keep reading. Don't let anyone stop you. Max and my family. Fang, Iggy, Nudge, the Gas Man, and Angel. Welcome to our nightmare. Chapter 1. The funny thing about facing imminent death is that it really snaps everything else into perspective. Take right now, for instance. Run! Come on, run! You know you can do it. I gulped deep lungfuls of air. My brain was on hyperdrive. I was racing for my life. My one goal was to escape. Nothing else mattered. My arms being scratched to ribbons by briar I'd run through. No biggie. My bare feet hitting every sharp rock, rough root, pointed stick. Not a problem. My lungs aching for air? I could deal. As long as I could put as much distance as possible between me and the erasers. Yeah, erasers. Mutants, half men, half wolves. Usually armed, always bloodthirsty. Right now, they were after me. See? That really snaps everything into perspective. Run. You're faster than they are. You can outrun anyone. I've never been this far from the school before. I was totally lost. Still, my arms pumped by my sides. My feet crashed through the underbrush. My eyes scanned ahead anxiously through the half-light. I could outrun them. I could find a clearing with enough space for me to... Oh no. The unearthly baying of bloodhounds on the scent wailed through the trees, and I felt sick. I could outrun men. All of us could, even Angel, and she's only 6. But none of us could outrun a big dog. Dogs, go away, let me live another day. They were getting closer. Dim light filtered in through the woods in front of me. A clearing? Please, a clearing could save me. I burst through the trees, chest heaving, a thin sheen of cold sweat on my skin. Yes! No. Oh no. I skidded to a halt, my arms waving, my feet backpedaling on the rocky dirt. It wasn't a clearing. In front of me was a cliff, a sheer face of rock that dropped to an unseeable floor, hundreds of feet below. And back of me were woods filled with drooling bloodhounds and psycho racers with guns. Both options stank. The dogs were yelping excitedly. They found their prey. Why? For those of you who don't know, that means me. I looked over the deadly drop. There was no choice, really. If you were me, you'd have done the same thing. I closed my eyes, held out my arms, and let myself fall over the edge of the cliff. The eraser screamed angrily. The dog barked hysterically, and all I could hear was the sound of air rushing past me. It was so dang peaceful for a second. I smiled. Then, taking a deep breath, I unfurled my wings as hard and as fast as I could. 13 feet across, pale tan with white streaks and some freckly-looking brown spots, they caught the air, and I was suddenly yanked upward, hard as if a parachute had just opened. Yow! Note to self. No sudden unfurling. Wincing, I pushed downward with all my strength, then pulled my wings up, then pushed downward again. Oh, my God, I was flying, just like I had always dreamed. The cliff floor, draped in shadow, receded beneath me. I laughed and surged upward, feeling the pull of my muscles, the air whistling through my secondary feathers, not fingers. Oh my God. The breeze drying the sweat on my face. I soared up past the cliff edge, past the startled hounds and furious erasers. One of them, hairy-faced, fangs dripping, raised his gun. A red dot of light appeared on my torn nightgown. Not today, you jerk, I thought, veering sharply west so the sun would be in his hate-crazed eyes. I'm not going to die today. Chapter 2. I jolted upright in bed, gasping, my hand over my heart. I couldn't help checking my nightgown. No red laser dot, no bullet holes. I fell back on my bed, limp with relief. Jeez, I hated that dream. It was always the same. Running away from the school, being chased by erasers and dogs, me falling off a cliff, and then suddenly, whoosh, wings, flying, escaping. I always woke up feeling a second away from death. Not self. Give subconscious a pep talk. R.E. Better dreams. It was chilly, but I forced myself out of my cozy bed. I threw on some clean sweats, amazingly. Nudged to put the laundry away. Everyone else was still asleep. I could have a few minutes of peace and quiet. Get a jump on the day. I glanced out the hall windows on the way to the kitchen. I loved this view. The morning sunlight breaking over the crest of the mountains. The clear sky, the deep shadows. The fact that I could see no sign of any other people. We were high on a mountain. Safe. Just me and my family. Our house was shaped like a letter E, turned on its side. The bars of the E cantilevered on slits out over a steep canyon. So if I looked out a window, I felt like I was floating. On a cool scale from 1 to 10, this house was an easy 15. Here, my family and I could be ourselves. Here, we could live free. I mean, literally free. As in, not in cages. Long story, more on that later. And of course, here's the best part. No grown-ups. When we first moved here, Jeb, I can never say his last name, had taken care of us. Like a dad. He'd saved us. None of us had parents, but Jeb had come as close as possible. 2 years ago, he disappeared. I knew he was dead. We all did. But we didn't talk about it. No, we were on our own. Yep, no one telling us what to do, what to eat, when to go to bed. Well, except for me. I'm the oldest, so I try to keep things running as best I can. It's a hard, thankless job, but someone has to do it. We don't go to school either, so thank God for the internet, because otherwise we wouldn't know nothing. No schools, no doctors, no social workers knocking on our door. It's simple. If no one knows about us, we stay alive. I was rustling around for food in the kitchen when I heard Sleepy shuffling behind me. Morning, Max. On to chapter 3. Morning, Guzzy, I said as the heavy-lidded 8-year-old slumped at the table. I rubbed his back and dropped a kiss on his head. He'd been the gas man ever since he was a baby. What can I say? The child has something funky going on with his digestive system. A word to the wise, stay upwind. The gas man blinked up at me, his gorgeous blue eyes round and trusting. What's for breakfast? He asked, sitting up. His fine blonde hair stuck up all over his head, reminding me of a fledgling's downy feathers. It's a surprise, I said, since I had no idea. I'll pour juice, the gas man offered. My heart swelled. He was a sweet, sweet kid. So was his little sister. He and 6-year-old Angel, who were the only blood siblings among us. But we were all a family anyway. Soon Iggy, tall and pale, slouched into the kitchen. Eyes closed. He fell onto a beat-up couch with perfect aim. The only time he has trouble being blind is when one of us forgets and moves furniture or something. Hey, Ig, rise and shine, I said. Bite me, he mumbled sleepily. Fine, I said. Missed breakfast. I was looking in the fridge with naive hope. Maybe the food fairies had come. When the back of my neck prickled, I straightened quickly and spun around. Will you quit that? I said. Fang always appeared silent like that. Out of nowhere, like a dark shadow come to life. He regarded me calmly, dressed and alert, his dark, overlong hair brushed back. He was 4 months younger than me, but already 4 inches taller. Quit what? He asked calmly. Breathing? I rolled my eyes. You know what? With a grunt, Iggy staggered upright. I'll make eggs, he announced. Guess if I were more of a fembot, it would bother me that a blind guy 6 months younger than I am could cook better than I could. But I'm not, so it didn't. I surveyed the kitchen. Breakfast was well underway. Bang, you set the table. I'll go get Nudge and Angel. The 2 girls shared the last small bedroom. I pushed the door open to find 11-year-old Nudge asleep, tangled up in her covers. She's barely recognizable with her mouth shut, I thought wryly. When she was awake, we called it the Nudge channel. All Nudge, all the time. Hey, sweetie, up and at 'em, I said, gently shaking her shoulder. Breakfast in 10. Nudge blinked, her brown eyes struggling to focus on me. What? She mumbled. Another day, I said. Get up and face it. Groaning, Nudge levered herself into a crumpled but technically upright position. Across the room, a thin curtain concealed on one corner. Angel always liked small, cozy spaces. Her bed, tucked behind the curtain, was like a nest, full of stuffed animals, books, most of her clothes. I smiled and pulled the curtain back. Hey, you're already dressed, I said, leaning over to hug her. Hi, Max, Angel said, tugging her blonde curls out of her collar. Can you do my buttons? Yep. I turned her around and started doing her up. I never told the others, but I just loved Angel. Maybe because I've been taking care of her practically since she was a baby. Maybe because she was just so incredibly sweet and loving herself. Maybe because I'm like your little girl, said Angel, turning around to look at me. But don't worry, Max. I won't tell anybody. Besides, I love you best, too. She threw her skinny arms around my neck and planted a somewhat sticky kiss on my cheek. I hugged her back hard. Oh, yeah, that's another special thing about Angel. She can read minds. By the way. Chapter 4. I want to go pick strawberries today, Angel said firmly, scooping up a forkful of scrambled eggs. They're ripe now. Okay, Angel, I'll go with you, said the gas man. Just then he let rip one of his unfortunate occurrences and giggled. Ah, jeez, Cassie, I said disapprovingly. Gas mask, he choked out, grasping his neck and pretending to asphyxiate. I'm done, Fang said, getting up quickly and taking his plate to the sink. Sorry, the gas man said automatically, but he kept eating. Yeah, Angel, said Nudge. I think the fresh air would do us all good. I'll go too. Well, I'll go, I said. Outside it was beautiful, clear and cloudless, with the first real heat of May. We carried buckets and baskets as Angel led us to a huge patch of wild strawberries. She held my hand. If you make cake, I can make strawberry shortcakes, she said happily. Yeah, that'll be the day, when Max makes a cake, I heard Iggy say. I'll make it, Angel. Our world. Oh, thank you, I exclaimed. Okay, I'm not a fabulous cook, but I can still kick your butt, and don't you forget it. Iggy was laughing, holding up his hands in denial. Nudge was trying not to laugh. Even Fang was grinning. And the gas man looked mischievous. Was that you? I asked Gazzy. He grinned and shrugged, trying not to look too pleased with himself. The gas man had been about 3 when I realized he could mimic just about any sound or voice. I'd lost count of how many times Iggy and Fang had almost come to blows over stuff Gazzy had said in their voices. It was a dark gift, and he wielded it happily. It was just another weird ability. Most of us had them. Whatever they were, they sure made life more interesting. Next to me, Angel froze and screamed. Startled, I stared down at her, and in the next second, men with wolfish muzzles, huge canines, and reddish glinting eyes dropped out of the sky like spiders. Erasers. And it wasn't a dream. Oh, so my cat is back. What? Why are you looking at me like that, huh? You just want attention, don't you? Even though you get tons of it. And now I'm gonna lay my work clothes. Great, thanks. You're a bug. Alright. Chapter 5. There was no time to think. Jeb had trained us not to think, just to act. I launched myself in an eraser, spinning and planting a hard roundhouse kick in his barrel chest. His breath went oof, and the odor was just awful, like raw sewage left out in the hot sun. After that, it was like a movie. A bunch of superimposed images that hardly seemed real. I landed another blow, and then an eraser punched me so hard that my head snapped around, and I felt a burst of blood in my mouth. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Fang holding his own against the eraser. Until 2 more ganged up on him, and he went down under flailing clawed hands. Iggy was still upright, but one eye was already swelling shut. Beyond shock, I scrambled to my feet, and saw the gas man out cold, lying face down on the ground. I leapt toward him, only to be grabbed again. 2 erasers pinned my arms behind my back. Another leaned in, his reddish eyes glinting with excitement. His jelly fully morphed out and snout-like. He pulled back his hand and curled it into a fist. Then he brought it in hard, punching me in the stomach. An unbelievable pain exploded in me, and I doubled over. dropping like a stone. Dimly, I heard Angel screaming and Nudge crying. Get up, I told myself, trying to suck in air. Get up! As weird mutant kids, we're much, much stronger than regular grown-up humans. But erasers aren't regular grown-up humans, and they outnumbered us as well. We were dog meat. I struggled to my hands and knees, trying not to reach or throw up. I staggered to my feet, bloodlust in my eyes, ready to kill. Two erasers held Nudge's hands and feet. They swung her hard, and she went sailing, hitting her head against a tree. I heard a small, pained cry, and then she lay crumpled along the pine needles. With a hoarse, blood-muffled shout, I ran up and clapped my cupped palms around an eraser's furry ears. He shrieked as his eardrums popped, and he fell to his knees. Max! The angel screamed, high-pitched and terrified. I spun around. An eraser held her by the arms, and I raced forward, jumping over Iggy, who now lay unconscious. Two erasers fell on me, knocking me down, one pressing a heavy knee into my chest. I wheezed and struggled, and one of them cuffed my face hard, his ringed claws digging deep welts into my cheek. Dizzily, I fell back, the two erasers pinning me with uncomprehending horror. I saw three other erasers stuffing Angel, my baby, into a rough sack. She was crying and screaming, and one of them hit her. Frantically struggling, I tried to scream, but could make only a hoarse, croaked cry. Get off of me! You stupid frickin'. I choked, but I was slammed back again. An eraser leaned over me, smiling horribly. Max, he said, and my stomach clenched. Did I know him? Good to see you again, he went on conversationally. You look like crap. You always acted so much better than everyone else. Just cheers me up. Horror, I gasped, feeling cold at the center of my being. The eraser grinned, his long, sharp teeth barely fitting in his jaw. You don't recognize me? Guess I've grown some. My eyes went wide with sudden, horrified recognition. Harry? I whispered, and he laughed like a mad person. Then he stood up. I saw his huge black boot come at my head, felt my head jerk to one side, and everything went black. My last thought was disbelief. Harry was Jeb's son. They'd made him into an eraser. He was 7 years old. What are you doing? Will you just settle in one place? You're weird. Where did my water go? There it is. Alright, chapter 6. Max? The gasman's voice was very young and very scared. I heard a horrible low moan. Didn't realize it had come from me. The gasman and Fang were leaning over me, concerned expressions on their bruised, bloodied faces. I'm okay, I croaked, having no idea if I was or not. Memory came rushing back, and I tried to sit up. Where's Angel? My voice was strained. Fang's dark eyes met mine. She's gone. They took her. I thought I might faint again. I remembered being 9 years old, looking out the wired glass slab window, watching the erasers in the semi-darkness. The white coats had released chimpanzees onto the school grounds and let newly made erasers loose after them, teaching them how to hunt. The sounds of the chimpanzees screeching in terror and pain still echoed in my mind. That was who had Angel now. The rage overwhelmed me. Why couldn't they have taken me instead? Why take a tiny kid? Maybe I would have had a chance. Maybe. Shakily, I got to my feet. My head was spinning, and I had to lean against Fang, hating my weakness. We've got to get her, I said urgently, trying to stay upright. We've got to get her back before the horror-filled images flashed through my mind. Angel being chased, being hurt, being killed. I gulped, shutting them down. Check in, guys. Are you up for a chase? I examined the four of them. They looked like they'd been stuffed into a blender set on chop. Yes, Nudge said in a tear-choked voice. I'm up, said Iggy, a split lip making his voice thick. The gas man nodded sullenly at me. To my horror, hot tears momentarily blurred my vision. I wiped them away with the back of one hand and called on fury to keep me going. Just then, Iggy cocked his head slightly. It was a cue for me to start listening intently. Then I heard it too. A faint engine noise. There, Iggy said, pointing. The five of us ran stiffly and clumsily toward the sound. 100 yards through the woods brought us to a sharp drop-off, maybe 50 feet above an old, unused logging road. Then I saw it. A black Humvee, dull with dust and mud, bumping roughly over the unpaved road. My heart pounded. I knew, just knew, that my little one, my angel, was inside, and she was on her way to a place where death came as a blessing. It wasn't going to happen, not while I was breathing. Let's get her! I cried, then backed up about 10 feet. The others scurried out of my way as I ran to the edge and simply jumped out into space. I started to fall toward the road, then I unfurled my wings, fast, catching the wind, and I began to fly. Chapter 7. You see, the nightmare I had is actually hard to tell apart from my real life. My friends and I really did used to live in a stinking cesspool of evil called the school. We were really created by scientists, whitecoats who grafted avian DNA into our human genes. Jeb had been a whitecoat, but he'd felt sorry for us, cared about us, and kidnapped us away from there. We were bird kids, a flock of 6, and the erasers wanted to kill us. Now they had 6-year-old Angel. I gave a strong push down, then up, feeling my shoulder muscles working to move my 13-foot wingspan. I banked sharply, heading after the Humvee. A quick glance revealed that Nudge had jumped out after me, then Iggy, the gas man, and Fang, in tight formation. We swerved down toward the car. Fang snatched a dead branch off a tree. He dropped straight down and smashed it against the Humvee's front windshield. The vehicle swerved. A window rolled down. A gun barrel poked out. Around me, trees started popping with bullets. The smell of hot metal and gun smoke filled the air. I looped back into the tree line, still tracking the car. Fang smashed the windshield again. Bullets split from several windows. Fang wisely surged away. Angel, I screamed. We're here, we're coming for you. Up ahead, called Fang. And I saw a clearing maybe 200 yards away. Through the trees, I could barely see the greenish outline of a chopper. The Humvee was bouncing heavily over the rutted road. I met Fang's eyes, and he nodded. Our chance was when they moved Angel from the car to the chopper. It all happened so fast, though. The Humvee braked awkwardly, sliding in the mud. The door burst open, and an eraser sprung out. Fang dropped on him, then recoiled with a yell, his arm dripping blood. The eraser sped toward the chopper, throwing himself through the open hatch. A second eraser, showing his huge yellow canine teeth, leapt from the car and hurled something into the air. Shouting, Nudge grabbed Iggy's hand and they pulled backward as fast as a grenade. Nudge grabbed Iggy's hand and they pulled backward fast as a grenade exploded in front of them, spewing chunks of metal and tree bark everywhere. The chopper's router was picking up speed, and I shot out from behind the trees. They are not getting away with my baby. They are not taking her back to that place. Ari jumped out of the car, carrying the sack with Angel in it. I tore toward the chopper, fear and desperate anger making my blood sing. Ari threw Angel's sack through the open door, and he jumped in behind. An incredible athlete himself. With a ferocious roar, I sprung up and caught hold of the chopper's landing skid just as it took off. The metal was hot from the sun and too wide to hold. I hooked one arm over it, trying to steady myself. The massive downdrift from the routers almost snapped my wings in half. I pulled them in and the erasers laughed, pointing at me as I closed the glass hatch. Ari was right there. He picked up a rifle and aimed it at me. "Let me tell you a secret, old pal, old champ," Ari yelled at me. "You've got it all wrong. We're the good guys." "Angel," I whispered near tears. Ari's claw tightened on the trigger. He would do it. And dead, I would be no use to anybody. My heart breaking, I let go, falling fast, just as I saw a small, tousled blonde head shake itself free of the sack. My baby, flying away toward her death. And trust me on this, things much worse than death. Okay, chapter 8. We all have great vision, raptor vision. So we had the excruciating pain of watching the helicopter take Angel away for much longer than the average person. My throat closed with a sob. Angel, whom I've cared for since she was a baby with goofy chicken wings. I felt like they chopped off my own right wing, leaving a ragged, gaping wound. "They have my sister!" the gas man howled, throwing himself down. He always tried so hard to be a tough guy. He was only 8, and he'd just seen his sister kidnapped by the hounds of hell. He pounded the dirt with his fists, and Fang knelt next to him, one arm tenderly around his shoulder. "Max, what are we gonna do?" Nudge's eyes were swimming with tears. She was bruised and bloody, her fists clenching and unclenching anxiously. "They have Angel!" Suddenly I knew I was going to implode. Without a word, I pushed off on the ground, wings out, taking off as fast as I could. I flew out of sight, out of the others' hearing. Ahead was a huge Douglas fir, and I landed ungracefully on one of its upper branches, maybe 175 feet in the air, scrambling to catch hold because I'd overshot. Gasping, I clung to the limb. "Okay, Max, think! Fix this! Figure something out!" My brain was flooded with too much thought, emotion, confusion, rage, pain. I needed to get a grip, but I couldn't get a grip. It was like I had just lost my little sister, and like I had lost my little girl. Oh God, Angel, Angel, Angel! Yelling as loud as I could, I made fists and punched the chunky bark of the fir tree hard, over and over, until finally actual pain seeped in my seared consciousness. I stared at my knuckles, saw the blood, the missing skin, the splinters. The physical pain hurt much less than the mental kind. My Angel, my baby, had been snatched away. She was with bloodthirsty men-wolf mutants eager for her blood, who would turn her over into despicable lab geeks who wanted to take her apart. Literally. Then I was crying, clinging to the tree as if it were a lifeboat from the Titanic. I sobbed and sobbed until I thought I'd make myself sick. Gradually, the sobs slowed to shudders, and I wiped my face on my shirt, leaving streaks of blood. I sat in a tree until my breathing calmed and my brain seemed to be hitting on most cylinders again. My hands were killing me, though. Note to self, stop punching inanimate objects. Okay, it was time to go down and be strong. To get everyone together and come up with a plan B. One other thing. Aria's last words were still screaming in my brain. We're the good guys. Chapter 9. I don't even remember flying home. I felt heartbroken and numb, and when we walked into the kitchen, the first thing I saw was Angel's breakfast plate on the table. Iggy howled and swept his hand across the kitchen counter, catapulting a mug through the air. It hit Fang in the side of the head. "Watch it, idiot!" he yelled at Iggy furiously. Then he realized what he'd said, clenched his teeth, and rolled his eyes at me in frustration. Tears were streaming down my cheeks, their salt stinging where the eraser had raked me with his claws. Moving automatically, I got the first aid kit and started cleaning the gas man's scrapes and cuts. I looked around. Ned's cheek was bleeding. Some shrapnel had burned her as it flew past. For once, she wasn't talking. She was curled on the couch, crying. The gas man glanced up at me. "How'd you let this happen, Max?" I was asking myself the same question. True, I'm the leader. I'm Max the Invincible. But, nope, come on. I'm also just a 14-year-old kid. And every once in a while, like when I realize all over again that Jeb's gone forever, that we're on our own, and the others depend on me, and I can't let them down, well, that's when it all gets to me. Suddenly, I'm a little kid again, wishing Jeb were back, or even, hey, wishing I was normal, or had parents. Yeah, right. "You watch it," Iggy shouted at Fang. "What happened? I mean, you guys can see, can't you? Why couldn't you get Angel?" "They had a chopper," the gas man yelled, squirming out of my reach. "And guns. We're not bulletproof." Guys, I yelled. "We're all upset, but we're not the enemy. They're the enemy." I stuck the last band-aid on the gas man and started pacing. "Just be quiet for a minute so I can think," I added more calmly. It wasn't their fault our rescue mission had been such a total disaster. It wasn't their fault Angel was gone. It was their fault that the kitchen looked like it belonged to a family of hygiene-challenged jackals, but I would deal with that later, whenever that kind of thing became important again. If ever. Iggy moved to the couch and almost sat on Nudge. She scooted to one side, and when he sat down, she put her head on his shoulder. He stroked her hair. "Take deep breaths," the gas man advised me, looking concerned. I almost burst into tears again. I had let his sister get kidnapped, failed to save her, and he was worried about me. Fang was darkly silent. His eyes watched me as he opened a can of ravioli and picked up a fork with a heavily bandaged hand. "You know, if they just wanted to kill her or kill all of us, they could have," Nudge said shakily. "They had guns. They wanted Angel alive for some reason. And they didn't care if we were alive or not. I mean, they didn't go out of their way to make sure we were dead, is what I'm saying. So that makes me think we have time to go after Angel again." "But they were in a chopper," said the gas man. "They're way gone. They could be anywhere." His lower lip trembled and he clenched his jaw. "Like China or something." I went over and ruffled his already ruffled blonde hair. "I don't think they took her to China, Gazzy. We know where they took her." Fang's calm words fell like stones. He scraped the bottom of the can with his fork. "Where's that?" Iggy asked, raising his head, his blind eyes bloodshot with unshed tears. "The school," Fang and I said at the same time. Well, as you can imagine, that went over like a ton of frickin' bricks. Chapter 10. Nudge gasped, her hand over her mouth, her eyes wide. The gas man looked scared, then tried to wipe it out of his face. Iggy's spine tightened, his face like ice. When he'd been at the school, they tried to surgically enhance his night vision. Now he was blind forever. Oops. "They took Angel back to the school?" the gas man asked, confused. "I think so," I said, trying to sound together and leaderly, as if I weren't screaming with panic inside. "Why?" Nudge whispered. "After 4 years, I thought maybe they'd forgotten." "They want us back," said Fang. "We never really talked about this. It was like out of sight, out of mind. Actually, We're like, let's all try to forget when we're at the mercy of sadistic spawns of Satan and in a place that's a total hellish abomination and ought to be firebombed. Yeah, more like that. They'll never forget about us. Jeb wasn't supposed to take us here, I reminded the gas man. Jeb knew they would do anything to get us back. If anyone ever discovered what they did to us, it would be the end of the school, Fang explained. Why don't we tell them then? Nudge demanded. We could go to a TV station and tell everyone and say, look, they grew wings on us, and we're just little kids, and okay, that would fix them, Iggy interrupted. But we'd end up in a zoo. Well, what are we gonna do then? The gas man was starting to sound panicky. Fang had gotten up and left the room, and now he returned, holding a sheaf of yellowed, fading papers. The edges looked nibbled, and he shook some mouse poop off. Ew, said Nudge, wiping her nose on her sleeve. Ew, was that here? Said Fang, pushing the papers at me. They were Jeb's ancient printed-out files. After he disappeared, we cleared off his desk and shoved everything in the back of a closet so we wouldn't have to look at it all the time. We spread the papers out on the kitchen table. Just looking at them made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Not to mention the strong "you de mouse" I'd rather had been doing anything but. Fang started to shift through the pile. He found a large manila envelope, sealed with a clump of wax. After looking at me, catching my nod, he popped the wax with his thumbnail. What is that? Asked the gas man. Map, Fang said, pulling out a folded typographical drawing. Map of what? Nudge leaned closer, peering over Fang's shoulder. Map of the secret facility, I said, feeling my stomach clench. I'd hoped I'd never have to see it again. Never break that wax seal. In California, the school. On to chapter 11. What? The gas man squeaked. Iggy went even paler than normal. If possible. That's where they took Angel, I said. And that's where we're gonna have to go to get her back. Oh, said Nudge, her brain hitting overdrive. Yeah, we have to go get Angel back. We can't let her stay there. But them, they're monsters. They're going to do bad things to her and put her in a cage, hurt her. But there's 5 of us, so the rest have to go get. I had wrapped my hand across her mouth. She peeled my fingers apart. How far is it? 600 miles, more or less, Fang said. At least a 7-hour flight, not including breaks. Can we discuss this? Iggy asked, not turning his head. We're way outnumbered. No. I scanned the map, already working out routes, rest stops, backup plans. Can we take a vote? They had guns, and a chopper. There was an edge in Iggy's voice. Iggy, this is not a democracy, I said. Understanding is fear, but unable to do anything about it. It's a maxocracy. You know we have to go after Angel. You can't be thinking that we would just let them take her. The 6 of us look out for one another, no matter what. None of us is ever going to live in a cage again, not while I'm alive. I took a deep breath. But actually, Nudge, Fang, and I are going after Angel. You and the gas man, I need to stay here. Hold down the fort, on the off chance Angel escapes and makes her way home. There was a moment of dead silence. You're so full of it, said Iggy, turning toward me. That's not why you want to see her. Why don't you just say it? Tension was making my stomach hurt. I didn't have time for this. No, Angel didn't have time for this. Okay, I said, turning to a placating tone. It's true. I don't want you to come. The fact is, you're blind, and while you're a great fighter around here, where you know everything, I can't be worrying about you in the middle of a firefight with the erasers. Iggy's face twisted in anger. He opened his mouth but got cut off. What about me? The gasman squeaked. I don't care if they have guns and a chopper and erasers. She's my sister. That's right. And if they want her so bad, they might want you just as bad, I pointed out. Plus, you're a great flyer, but you're 8 years old, and we're going to be doing Oh, wait, no, sorry. We're going to be logging major hours. Jed would never have made us stay, Iggy said angrily. Never, ever. I pressed my lips together. I was doing the best I could. Maybe not, I admitted. We'll never know. Jeb's dead. Now, everyone get your gear together. And last chapter for this recording, and then we're all caught up with the stream. Chapter 12. We're clear on Plan B? I asked, raising my voice so Fang and Nudge could hear me over the roar of the wind. We were headed into the sun, southwest, leaving the Senghor de Crystal Mountains behind, streaking through the sky at a steady 90 miles per hour. If we hit a nice air current, we could add 20 miles per hour to our speed. The glory of flight. Fang nodded. God, is he ever the strong and silent type? Uh-huh, said Netch. If we get separated somehow, though I don't see how we could, unless maybe one of us gets lost in a cloud or something, do you think that could happen? I haven't ever been inside a cloud. I bet it's creepy. Can you see anything inside a cloud? I shoot her a look. She paused, then quickly finished. We'll meet up at the northmost point of Lake Mead. I nodded. And where's the school? In Death Valley, 8 miles due north from the Badwater Basin. My mouth opened to add more, but I raised my eyebrows at her. I love Nudge. Nudge is a great kid. But that motor mouth of hers could have turned Mother Teresa into an axe murderer. You got it, I said. Good job. Did you hear that address? Could the school be located in a more perfect place? Death Valley, above the Badwater Basin. Like, when we got there, we'd see road paved and good intentions and have to cross a river of Styx to get in. Wouldn't surprise me. The wind was undoing my braid, and chunks of long hair whipped annoyingly across my face. Note to self: cut hair short. The gasman and Iggy had been none too happy campers when we left, but I thought I'd made the right decision. That was the problem with this leader stuff. It didn't come with an instruction manual. Given what Angel was facing, their being unhappy was the least of my concerns. I glanced over at Fang and saw that his face looked serene, almost, well, not exactly happy. Fang's never happy, but just really calm. I edged closer to him. On the plus side, flying is just really, really cool, I said, and he looked at me with a half smile of understanding. His dark wings moved powerfully, glinting faintly in the pale sunlight. The wind was whistling in our ears. We could see everything for miles. It was like being God, I imagine. Oh yeah, on the minus side, we're meeting freaks who will never live a normal life. Fang shrugged. Win some, lose some. I was too upset to laugh, but gave a wry smile and looked over at Nudge. She was 3 years younger than us, but was holding her own. Like all of us, she was tall for her age, and skinny, probably weighing no more than 60 pounds thanks to her strong, light bird bones. 90 miles an hour wasn't fast enough. The scientists at the school could do a lot of damage in 7 hours. Even so, I knew we'd have to take a break before we got there. Even if we're going to hit the school, we need to be rested, not hungry. I checked my watch. We'd been skyborne for a good 2 hours. I was already feeling empty, a little shaky. Flying burned energy like nothing else. And after a long flight, I felt like I could eat a cow. Fork optional. Even needing to get Angel. We couldn't forget the basic necessity of eating. Max. Nudge's big eyes, the same tawny russet as her wings, looked over at me. I was thinking, here we go. I mean, right before we left, I just looked at Jeb's old files, and some of them were about us, or me. I saw my name on a page, my real name, Monique, and then, some people's names, and then Tepesico, Arizona, Tepesico, I don't know how to say this place, sorry. It was right on the Arizona-California border. I found it on the map, real tiny town it looked like. Anyway, I was thinking, none of us ever knew our real parents, and, we've always wondered, or at least, I've always wondered, but I guess the rest of you have too, whether they gave me up voluntarily, or whether, Nudge, I know how you feel, but those names might have nothing to do with you. We don't know if we were just test tube babies or what. Please, let's focus on rescuing Angel. No response. Nudge? Yeah, okay, I was just thinking. I knew this one was going to come back and bite me in the butt. And that means we are all caught up with the stream. So if you would like to stop by the next stream on Twitch, look out on my Instagram, whatever the hell it is. What is my Instagram? When you know your social media so well that you forget literally what your name is. You know what? Fuck it. I'll just fucking link it in the description. Yeah, keep an eye on my Instagram, JackRipper8824. Check out, I believe it's Jack Ripper Reads on Twitch, is where I'll be streaming.